Welcome. This is a recap video summarizing the best method selection when dealing with transfer pricing for intangibles. So, we talked about three methods in these videos that you might use: the cut, the profit split method, and the comparable profits method. Essentially, a quick recap, we did an example talking about a company KY that licenses its technology to its subsidiary in Spain, KP. And the cut is usually the best method you're going to find for dealing with intangibles. And you search for, if possible, an uncontrolled transaction. The very best of these would come, of course, if the parent itself is also licensing to an uncontrolled firm and everything is very comparable. But frankly, we have databases of uncontrolled transactions that we use regularly as a reference point, simply because we find that the cut is most often the best method to be using. The profit split method is likely the best method when there is no cut that you can turn to, and especially when both parties are contributing valuable intangibles to the creation of the value. We talked about this with an example from the pharmaceutical industry, where one company is doing the technology intangible and another company is doing, say, a marketing intangible, and then you need to measure the proportionality of the contribution of each of those to the creation of the profitability, and then splitting it up in some reasonable manner depending upon how you measure those. We're not going to go into the details of how to do that, but just sort of to recap when it's likely to be the best method. The CPM is a method that you can use when other methods aren't available to you. So suppose that there is no good cut or even a bad cut to really think about using, and the profit split doesn't seem appropriate. You can use a CPM to try to come up with what would essentially the simpler of the two parties, and therefore probably the one who does not own the intangible. What is its profitability, and is it reasonable level of profit after paying the royalty for the use of the intangible? The challenge of this is that these royalty rates for intangibles tend to be relatively small. And as such, the royalty, whether it moves up or down a bit, is very hard for it to drive the operating profitability up and down a great deal, because it's overwhelmed by the other costs that are in the whole production process that's going on, the COGS and the SG&A. So because the transfer price has a relatively small impact on the operating profitability, and other factors might cause it to swing, like economic shocks that might affect the COGS or the SG&A, it doesn't prove to be the most reliable method. It may not be able to detect a problem very effectively in the transfer price. Thank you, and that's a quick summary of the different methods you can use for transfer pricing intangibles and how you go about selecting the best method. Have a great day.